Ladies and gentlemen, this is TVP World. You're watching another edition of Break the Fake, where we debunk fake news and combat false narratives. I'm your host, Benjamin Lee, and let's get rolling. As the U.S. Department of Justice releases new documents in the Jeffrey Epstein case, the Kremlin finds itself reaching for its oldest reflex. If a topic is loud, scandalous, and everywhere, it must be weaponized immediately. Cue a bot network with a warm, homely name, Matryoshka, and much like the nesting doll it's named after, there's never just one fake inside. There are hundreds. The moment the story broke, Matryoshka flooded social media, packing timelines with coordinated nonsense at an industrial scale. Analysts tracking Russia's hybrid information operations have recorded a large-scale disinformation campaign disguised as Western media, fake videos, screenshots of articles, and counterfeit newspaper covers that are spreading across X, Telegram, and Blue Sky. The formula is brutally simple. Take a real fact, add fiction, steer aggressively, and then sell it as a global sensation. Matryoshka has shown particular creativity in tying Ukraine and Western leaders to the Epstein case. Fake stories circulate about Ukrainian children allegedly used in conspiracies by global elites, Photoshop news articles linking Emmanuel Macron to Epstein. The proof is always the same. It's a magazine cover no one has ever seen, a quote no one has ever said, and to boost credibility, the fake dresses themselves up as content from well-known European and American media outlets. There's just one small problem, see. Verification shows none of these materials were ever published anywhere. The goal of the campaign is transparent. Undermine trust in democratic institutions, Western governments, and the media while embedding Ukraine in the most toxic conspiracy narrative available at the moment. When there are no facts, conspiracy theories take over. When there is no evidence, Photoshop and bot networks do the work. Matryoshka proves it again that Russian propaganda can swap topics all at once, but the style never really changes. Maximum noise, maximum fabrication, zero accountability. The only constant is the Kremlin need to explain its own failure as foreign conspiracies. While diplomats, military personnel, and analysts around the world try to understand why there's still no peace between Ukraine and Russia, the Russian Orthodox Church has finally delivered clarity. Forget invasion, missiles, and occupation. The real culprits have been identified. Abortions, a psychic, tarot readers, numerologists, and of course, witches. You see, Bishop Petrim Tvorogov is convinced that these unholy practices are precisely what blocks peace in Ukraine. According to him, every attempt to end the war has failed because of the large number of abortions and people's ungodly lives. Not artillery, not troops, not political decisions, spiritual misconduct.
Молимся, и ситуация, она там особо на фронте не меняется. А почему? А потому что у нас не меняется ситуация внутри страны. Не просто не меняется, она усугубляется, она становится хуже. Вот, например, я еще в прошлом году вам говорил статистику 2024 года, что за 2024 год в 3 раза больше стало экстрасенсов, колдунов, магов, тарологов, нумерологов, гадалок и всяких ведьм вот, в нашей стране. То есть в стране, которая ведет войну, огромное количество людей призывает на помощь нечистую силу. Вот. А сейчас уже появилась статистика за 2025 год, причем не за весь год, а за первые 3 месяца. И вот за эти первые 3 месяца 2025 года количество проданных оккультных предметов увеличилось в 2 раза больше по сравнению с 2024 даже годом. То есть не то, что не меняется в лучшую сторону, а стремительно меняется в худшую сторону. То есть огромное количество людей прибегает к нечистой силе. И вот уже мы с вами сколько раз видели попыток заключить мир на Украине, да, кто только не предпринимает. И все эти попытки не приводят к успеху. А почему? А потому что нет воли Божьей, чтобы таким образом был заключен мир.
And with this logic, any military failure suddenly makes perfect sense. Tanks keep rolling and missile keeps flying, but the real threat is someone booking a tarot reading. Negotiations collapse, but clearly the problem is a woman who decided to hold off on starting a family. If anyone wants to stop the aggression, the church suggests beginning with a holiness audit of the population. check for fortune tellers, scan for numerology, and just to be safe, punish the witches. Now, according to Russian Orthodox Church, they are the ones endangering the world order. Russia has found a new way to patch holes in the army that cannot be filled with money or propaganda. Now, it is turning to orphans. People the state has failed for years, unable to deliver the housing it promised, are suddenly offered a faster solution: war. By law, orphan children in the Russian Federation are supposed to receive an apartment from the state once they reach adulthood. In reality, it means decades of waiting, endless lines, bureaucratic limbo, and zero guarantees. The state politely asks them to wait without ever explaining until what age. And recently, some government agencies have unveiled a new, far more effective proposal. Adult orphans are told directly, if you want an apartment, sign a contract and go fight against Ukraine. No mortgages, no down payment, and most importantly, no certainty you will live long enough to unpack. Now, the cynicism is hard to miss. These young people have no housing, no savings, and no parents to shield them or talk them out of it. The choice is brutally simple and potentially fatal: stay homeless or gamble your life for a vague promise. There have been documented cases where entire groups of orphanage graduates went to war for the sake of an apartment. Spoiler alert, none of them returned. Which means that there is no one left to actually take possession of the apartments. The waiting list solves itself. Very neat math, extremely convenient for the state. By the fourth year of the war, even generous payments stopped attracting volunteers in large numbers. So the Kremlin reached for something more creative. It went after the most vulnerable. When there are no more willing recruits, the call goes to those who simply have nowhere else to go. Russian propaganda has once again moved on from protecting Russian speakers to openly threatening civilians. This time, Vladimir Solovyov, the Kremlin's chief television mouthpiece and a man who has long treated the studio like a personal bunker for verbal shelling, really outdid himself. Live on air, he addressed the residents of Kharkiv with a helpful suggestion: leave the city immediately. He called it cursed and politely advised people to surrender if they want to be spared. The formula is old and familiar. If you are being bombed, it is your fault. If you refuse to surrender, it means you do not want peace.
И смотрите, потом читать, как мне люди пишут. Вот у вас на передаче, когда Белгород утюжили вовсю, Василий призывал вот, уничтожить гадов. Вот. И жалеть пленных, когда в плен сдадутся. А чтобы Белгород не трогали, Харьков не должен быть. Поэтому жители Харькова, покиньте проклятый город. Потому что ваш город используют как базу для нанесения ударов по Белгороду. Я достаточно понятно выражаю свои мысли? Хотите, чтобы мы вас пожалели? Сдавайтесь в плен.
In the logic of Vladimir Solovyov, everything fits perfectly. The Russian army shells the city, but the responsibility lies not with those firing missiles, but with those who fail to run away in time. It's like blaming a building for being in the path of a shell. Kharkiv, which has been under constant attack for 3 years, becomes cursed in the television version of reality. Cursed not because of war, but because it rejected the Russian world. And for that choice, according to the Kremlin TV's preacher, its residents must be disciplined with fear, ultimatums, and threats delivered straight from the studio. See, Solovyov stopped being a journalist a long time ago. He is a symptom of a regime that has nothing left to offer except fear, hysteria, and threats. Every such broadcast proved the same point, that when arguments run out, talk of damned cities begins. Kharkiv does not need advice from television personalities in Moscow. It already made its choice, and it was certainly not in favor of favors from those who arrive with war and then act offended when they are not welcomed with flowers. And with that, we conclude this edition of Break the Fake. But for more news, update, and commentary, please stay tuned to TVP World.